Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm as always your host here, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why Democrats proved in the past week why they need to be removed from office for life for voter fraud at the State of the Union when they refuse to stand for Americans, because, of course, as we all know, Americans are in fact not their voter base. Illegal aliens are, Islamic terrorists are, etc., etc. When you look at the reason that bitch Omar is even in power, I'm talking about Ilhan Omar, obviously, it's because you have a bunch of fucking Somali terrorists who were falsely given driver's licenses that they shouldn't have been. They're in Minnesota, and they basically became her voter base. There, what it is. Same thing with the illegals that jumped the border back in 2020 to 2025, etc., etc. So, and we've seen this more recently in places like Virginia, where Abigail Spermbringer stole the Virginia governor's race there. We've seen it with New Jersey, where that Mickey Sherrill woman stole it there through voter fraud. We've seen it in Michigan in the past 4 years. Hell, there was a video that came out here in the last day or so now of current false Secretary of State Jacqueline Benson there in Michigan refusing to answer if Michigan's voter rolls no longer have illegals on them. And we all know that they damn well do, because this bitch literally used that in 2022, along with Gretchen Whitmer and Dana Nissel, to steal the governor's race, the Secretary of State's race, and the AG's office, respectively, there in Michigan. And it's exactly what Benson's trying to do now, to steal the Michigan governor's race this coming election cycle. So, and we've also seen other places. California's done it in the past. You have, like, basically, if I just went over like a list of Democrat governors right now, and like various Secretary of States that would be Democrat and stuff like that, dude, it'd all be voter fraud. From Maine to Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Washington State, Oregon, California, Colorado, and every place in between. Wisconsin's another one. Illinois would be another one. Like, literally the only reason these people are in power is because of voter fraud, dude. And it's the same thing, like pieces of shit like Omar and Tlaib. Like, the only reason that those two Islamic terrorists are in power right now is because of various Islamic terrorism. Putting them into power is what it is there. And so, of course, you had Omar bitching at Trump the other day at the State of the Union instead of being arrested out of office right then and there, which I would have loved to see that, honestly, dude. It would have been so great. There just been, like, various Department of Homeland Security guys walking up there in, like, full kit and being like, get the fuck up. You're under arrest for marriage fraud. You're under arrest for fake asylum seeking, etc. There's what it is. Because for those who don't know, the only reason that Rashad Tlaib's ass was ever born on U.S. soil is because her grandparents back in the 1970s, I believe is when it was at, it was late 60s, somewhere in there, they came over here to America, falsely claimed asylum / refugee status, stuff is what it is then, were led into this country, and then they had her, I believe it was her mother, on U.S. soil, and then her mother had her like a couple decades later on U.S. soil, so it was them. So, but yeah, it's all a bunch of bullshit, Tyler, dude. And it just shows exactly why Islam needs to be kicked the fuck out by force at this point, honestly, which we're going to get into that a little bit here with New York's recent call to prayer crap, because for those who don't know, obviously, the reason that Islam wants their call to prayer crap, blasted over loudspeakers 5 times a day is because they want to exert dominance in this country. They act like they're trying to take over America right now, which is what they're trying to do. And I'll be damned if I ever let these fuckers take over my country, dude, without some serious fucking firefight at that point. So, and I guarantee other Americans out there are saying the exact same thing. But anyway, got a couple other things to discuss today too. We're going to talk about why John Cornyn needs to get voted the fuck out of Texas, or out of that Texas Senate race, and why he needs to be put out of office for life is what it is right now, and why Ken Paxton needs to win that race. We're also going to talk about some crazy religious stuff with a recent interesting piece of news here about Ohio's lawmakers trying to reintroduce elk into the population of various animals and wildlife in the state, which is kind of weird because it's like Why would you be doing that? Oh, is it because there's been like 3 different dog meat encounters by Cincinnati, Ohio in the past like 2.5 months or so, and like a shitload of Bigfoot encounters in Hocking Hills and stuff in the past couple of years as well? I think so. I think it's a way to feed these cryptids is what it is then, especially when you have other states that have done the same exact thing, except for the fact that they have then said, oh, you can't actually hunt these populations, and it's like, well, then what the fuck are they there for, dude? What are you trying to feed here? And then when you realize it lines up perfectly with where these cryptids are at in these different states, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to feed the cryptids without killing humans is what it is then. Or getting people killed is what I should say. So, and then there's also, I want to talk about this one, though, before we get into the State of the Union stuff, because this has to do similar with the State of the Union stuff, because obviously Erica Kirk was there that day. And it really just shows how truly insane people like Candace Owens and company are. Because apparently the other day Candace was doing some stupid ass like expose series about Erica Kirk now or whatever, and one of Candace's followers brought this up to Candace, and now Candace is kind of running with it, falsely claiming that Erica Kirk was born a man. Like, so fucking dumb, dude. By the way, I grew up with girls that had the exact same picture that she had as a child there, dude, where it was like the Marcy Darcy kind of weird haircut there is what it is. And the thing that's stupid about this is it's like, oh, why can't you provide a photo of her pregnancy? Why the fuck should she have to? Like, that's the real question. Like, why the fuck should she have to, dude? To satiate your piece of fucking shit troll ass? I don't think so. You know, like, if you want to have a real talk about Erica Kirk, dude, like, I would be more inclined to think, you know, like, if we want to have a real discussion about Erica Kirk and her possibly being, like, demonic, like a demon, a succubus, something else like that for that matter, I could have that conversation with you all day long, dude, and that would actually be more probably nail on the head thing is what it is, and her being born a dude. Like, it's one thing when it was like, you know, the whole Macron thing, where like there was obvious evidence that fucking, you know, Bridget Macron was actually a dude. But yeah, to sit there and say like Erica Kirk was born a man is just fucking ridiculous, is what it is, dude. Especially when she had the exact same tomboy haircut I saw with girls that I grew up with, and they were obviously biological female as well. And I've had a bunch of kids since then. So yeah, it's just some dumbass bullshit, honestly, dude. And I think, honestly, a lot of this stuff is just like, it's like such hearsay crap is what it is, dude. And really, honestly, like, I'm not going to say if I was in Erica Kirk's shoes right now that I wouldn't seriously just sue the shit out of Candace Owens for slander and defamation at this point, honestly. So, because I keep hearing this, like, weird shit about that whole thing where it's like them claiming, like, all these different women are, like, dudes or whatever. Because I was reading something. I think I was going through a comment section or something on some video or whatever one time, and people did like a whole list of like different female celebrities they claim were like various like, you know, trans women or whatever the case be then, or you know, chicks that were born dudes or whatever. And it was like Jessica Alba and like Jennifer Aniston and stuff like that. And I'm like, and what proof do you have? And I specifically said to people, I'm like, and what proof do you have of this? And they could provide nothing, because that's what it is, dude. It's all fucking hearsay. It's all rumors. It's all slander and bullshit is what it is. And it's just people trying to make a name for themselves off someone else that actually is famous is what it is then. And it's really just sad, honestly. It's sad and pathetic in most cases. So, but yeah, you had Erica at the State of the Union. She was mouthing something to Trump. I don't know what exactly it was. There was rumors going around about that too as well. Like, and again, going back to the rumor mill thing is what it is, dude. Like, I would be more inclined if somebody was like, "Oh, Trump is carrying on an affair with Erica Kirk." I'd be like, "That actually makes sense," you know. Not, "Oh, Erica Kirk is a dude." Like, the fuck, dude. Seriously. So stupid. But yeah, I could easily see it being something where it was like either she's carrying on an affair with Donald Trump or Barron Trump or something else like that is what it is then. Like, I could buy into that, honestly. But yeah, I don't buy that bullshit that she was born a man kind of thing is what it is, dude. Because the thing is, like, really, how are you going to prove that, really? Are you gonna run up to her at some fucking gala and like pull her fucking pants down or something? Like, pretty sure your ass is gonna get the shit kicked out of you if you pull that, honestly, dude. And then not only that, but you're probably gonna get like your teeth knocked out for sure, and like maybe pepper sprayed or shot even. So, yeah, like there's really no way to prove that, honestly, dude. So, it's all rumors and hearsay is what it is, dude. And like I said, slander, defamation, and it's at its worst, really, is what it is there. So, but yeah, it's fucking nonsense, is what it is, bro. And like I said, we got moving on from that one. We have where's that here now? You got the Ohio lawmaker wants to examine reintroducing elk into the state. So Ohio lawmakers pushing to examine the feasibility of reintroducing elk into the Buckeye State. Elk, members of the deer family, can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Could once be found across Ohio, but were extirpated from the state in the 1800s due to overhunting and deforestation. So basically, they what the state was there. Now, Rep. Justin Pazazel, who was one of the dudes who was appointed to the state house, I think he was the one that was appointed when House Order was kicked out for bribery, and I believe he's won elections twice now. I want to say. Introduced House Bill 641, named the Trails and Tails Act, which could designate $1 million from the state's general revenue fund for the Department of Natural Resources to conduct a study analyzing elk reintroduction. Getting like weird ass text updates here or something. All right, so I had to take care of that real quick. It says reintroducing a species into the state typically entails wildlife officials bringing in animals from healthy populations in other regions, or breeding the animals in captivity and then releasing them into the wild, which is what they did in Colorado back in the day. That's also how you got, specifically, it was Colorado was doing government experimentation stuff, and that's actually how it was back in the, I want to say it was either late 60s or early 70s. They end up having they basically put wasting disease into these deer at the time, and then were shocked when the deer somehow escaped captivity, is what it was there. And that's how you got chronic wasting disease into the deer population over the decades, and that's what it is because a bunch of dumbass scientists in Colorado were doing stupid bullshit there, is what it is. Should have quit fucking around when they had the opportunity to do so. So, anyway. But moving on. All right now. So the bill also designates $2 million towards a study looking into examining Ohio's purpose vehicle and side-by-side trail systems. It says for a state our size, there is a small investment to answer a very big question: how much economic opportunity are we leaving on the table? Justin said in a modest study could lead to tens of millions of economic growth. It's worth taking a serious look at it. So the problem with that is, though, it's like, okay, where people bring this up, it's like, where are they going to be introduced at, dude? Like, maybe stop building fucking data centers and solar farms everywhere across the state of Ohio and taking up precious space that we could be using for actual having of, food resources and actual growth of crops that could also be doubling as various forest areas for these elk populations, for the current deer populations, for the rabbit populations, etc. of the state, for all the birds that call Ohio home every year, every spring and summer and the fall and stuff like that before they, migrate for the winter, is what it is there. So, anyway. Then it goes on from there about the elk reintroduction study and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I feel like it's. I mean, like that's the thing, right? Do you really need like $3 million basically at the end of the day to do these studies? Like, how many people are you paying? How much are you paying them basically? Like, how much wasteful fraud and abuse is in that whole thing? Because I feel like there's not. I feel like you don't need $3 million to do that. Honestly, dude, you could probably do that for like $100K. Honestly, at most. So, anyway, moving on from there, going back to the Islamic bullshit in there, call it prayer crap. You have New York residents rightfully pissed now, is what it is. We got Islamic call to prayer blasted over loudspeakers in New York City. We are taking over. It says frustrated New York City residents are flooding social media with complaints about Islamic call to prayer blasting from mosque loudspeakers during Ramadan, as they should be. It says Muslims defend the broadcast as their First Amendment right to religious freedom and cultural identity, except for the fact you fuckers have no religious freedom in this country because you are literally a fucking cult. You are not a religion. You are a bunch of fucking terrorist pieces of shit who rape children and need to fuck off back to the Middle East and back to hell forever is what it is, honestly. Number one. Number two, you have no legal right to commit noise pollution is what it is. And that alone should actually get you shut down completely is what it is there. Number three, you fuckers all know exactly what time your little fucking ass to face prayers are for your fucking death cult. You don't need to be blasting that shit over loudspeakers, you fucking cunts. But we all know why you're doing this, because you want to do your takeover bullshit is what it is. And it's exactly how you fuckers have admitted in the past that you exert dominance in countries that you're trying to take over is what it is there. Which is why American citizens need to exert our dominance through a fucking iron fist and boot these fuckers off our country's soil forever is what it is then, dude. End of story. Anyway. It says, however, a former Muslim explained that this is primarily a tool, there we go, yeah, it's primarily a tool for exerting political dominance rather than fulfilling religious devotion. The wake-up call comes in the morning, and ready or not, it's time to start the day, and we're not talking about Cairo, Mecca, or Medina. It's New York City. Yes, it's called a prayer ringing out in Big Apple during Ramadan, which began February 17th. Many New Yorkers are speaking out against these amplified broadcasts of the call to prayer. It says Amy Woman said, blasting that shit, my Lord America, the conquest we've warned about is exploding now. The Adhan isn't a beautiful call to prayer, it's a militant declaration, Allah Akbar, etc., etc. So some Americans see the call to prayer as a disturbance because it is. It's literally noise. It's totally noise pollution, dude. It's actually what do you call it now? It's exactly what I called the cops on this old neighbor over here on a few times because the guy was literally being loud at like 2:30 in the morning is what it is there. And you're breaking quiet hours, but you're also breaking a city noise ordinance is what it is there, which is, I'm not mistaken, like a misdemeanor crime is what it is then. So. Yeah, so some Americans see the call to prayer as a disturbance, while Muslim scum insists that their constitutional right to express their faith freely. Except again, you're not Americans, you have no constitutional rights, fuckers. And you're admitting that shit when you're trying to create Sharia law here, you fucking cocksuckers. So go fuck off back to your goddamn jihad in fucking Afghanistan or wherever the fuck you're from. So, it's another former Muslim turned Christian. As the author of Islam, Israel, and the West, he said the call to prayer was more important in the early days of Islam back then. With no cell phones or alarms to wake people up, it helped bring people to the mosque to pray. In 2026, he believes it is no longer needed. Many people are arguing that there is no need for the call to prayer to be broadcast and to bother everyone because we have alarms. Muslims don't need it, but political Islam needs it. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, dude. It's a bunch of bullshit all the way around, dude. And again, like, this is what happens when you let Islamic terrorism take over your country and don't actually kick it out at gunpoint, is what it is, which is what needs to happen right now. And that's my biggest gripe with Trump, honestly, from the State of the Union, going full circle back to how this broadcast started. is if Trump actually had the fucking balls, he would have literally had Omar and Tlaib both arrested for high treason at that point. He would have had Islam be declared a terrorist organization in this country and booted out for life, honestly, which is what needs to happen right now, is what it is. So, anyway. Then, of course, you had all the Democrats, basically, every time Trump was like, stand up for Americans, they all sat there like they were glued to their fucking chairs, is what it is. Because, again, their constituency is a bunch of illegals, a bunch of pedophiles, a bunch of Islamic terrorists, etc. So, anyways. I also want to talk about something that the mainstream media brought up today, which was the whole GOP Texas Senate primary. Here's what it is with that piece of shit John Cornyn and then Ken Paxton. So they're bringing up the fact that in the thing here about Ken Paxton potentially being impeached and then beating impeachment later on is what it is there. Yeah, this is, by the way, this is exactly why John Cornyn should have been booted out of office for life right now. John Cornyn's work on the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act in the wake of mass shootings, including the Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting. And that right there is why he should have been kicked out for life, honestly, dude. So, also Wesley Hunt's a fucking idiot, by the way. I want to point that out to you for that matter. But the entire point of the matter is, when you look into the whole Paxton impeachment there as Texas AG and who was actually behind it, every single person that was behind it, it was, I don't know if this guy is still the Speaker of the House there in Texas, but his name was like Dane Fillion or something, I think is what it was. Him and like 10 other people that were like leadership at the time there in Texas were all Bush buddies. And what it was is you had Paxton when he was running for AG again back in 2022. You had it was one of the Bush children. It was one of the Bush grandchildren, I should say, because it would have been George H.W. Bush. It would have been one of his grandkids. So it was either George W. Bush's or Jeb Bush's son, I think is what it is, or maybe their nephew or something. He was trying to run. He was at the time he was a railroad commissioner there in Texas. And he was trying to run for the AG's office. And there was like all this fuckery going on where it was basically him and these other guys doing like some shady shit where it was like clear embezzlement and like RICO Act stuff is what it is there. Where like money was being handed over and like bribes were taking place and all kinds of other RICO Act stuff. Basically, they all should have gone to prison for it, but they never did, obviously. But yeah, this Dane guy, it was a Dane or Dade? I think it was Dade, actually. So this Dade dude, Dade, whatever his name is, that was the Speaker of the House at the time there in Texas. It was him and like 5 or 6 other dudes that were like the main culprits, is what it is there, that were trying to impeach Ken Paxton. And Paxton obviously beat those charges because it was all bullshit, is what it was at the end of the day, and it was all basically just a bunch of fuckery to try and fuck him over, is what it is there. And that's basically what people are trying. That's basically what Cornyn and Hunter both trying to pull now against him in this race. Is like, well, you were impeached for all kinds of corrupt stuff, whatever the case be. But when you actually look into it, it was a bunch of bullshit, is what it is, dude. It was bullshit by a bunch of actual rhino scumbags who should be in prison themselves right now, is what it is. So this is exactly why Ken Paxton needs to win that U.S. Senate race primary against John Cornyn and Wesley Hunt, and then go on to actually become the actual senator out of Texas, is what it is then. So, anyway. There was also, I think I mentioned that earlier about Jacqueline Benson's crazy ass doing some crazy shit. There's what it is. So, somebody did a great still shot of her psychotic ass when she was asked the question about illegals being on the Michigan voter base still. And it was this crazy, like, deer in the headlights, nut job look that she was giving them. God, what an ugly woman, dude. I would honestly, like, truthfully speaking, like, with the demonic stuff we're seeing in politics these days, and just all kinds of, like, spiritual stuff is what it is there, too. I would not be the least bit surprised if Jacqueline Benson, Gretchen Whitmer, and Dina Nissa were all part of a witch coven in Michigan to maintain power and influence and stuff like that. So, and actually, speaking of people that would be part of that coven, like various like women, here's what it is, or potential demons trying to be women. Alyssa Slotkin is another great example of this. This bitch looks fucking evil, dude. Like, she just looks straight evil. Yeah, and this stupid cunt was trying to defend herself for not standing for Americans during Trump's State of the Union speech, saying the average American does not track who stands. They tune in for maybe the first 8 minutes or so. Bullshit, bitch. Fuck you. I also want to point out this fucking demonic cunt here. Alyssa Slotkin is also an ex, I believe, FBI agent or CIA agent, one of the two. Some fed fuck girl is what it is there, that should have never been allowed to take power over in this country is what it is at the end of the day. She's also, speaking of why she should never be in power right now currently, she should be in prison right now currently because she has taken direct Bosman action through Bloomberg to push anti-gun shit. So, yeah, just another great reason there. See, then we got 16 minutes ago, Kamala Harris records robocall asking Texas voters to vote for piece of shit black supremacist Jasmine Crockett. Good Christ. Fucking clown-ass bullshit. See, what's this bullshit? Edge Hills United Methodist Church. Those are usually black churches, by the way. In Nashville, Tennessee, whose statement is they are, quote, rooted in justice for LGBTQIA plus inclusion, holds a sing-along singing, say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE, brainwashing and mental illness at its finest. Yep. Bunch of goddamn lunatics, dude. Like, we seriously need to reopen the asylums and have forced mental institutionalization again, dude. Seriously. Like that's my biggest gripe with Trump, honestly. Like, he should have been doing that shit in 2018. Reopen the asylums, throw these fucking nutters into it, and we don't have to deal with this shit now is what it is. Yeah. And then, speaking of delusional nut jobs and black supremacists in general, you got this stupid cunt right here saying, black people are superior, we have invented everything, except you invented exactly nothing, bitch. And neither have your fucking people. You fuckers have never invented a goddamn thing. And almost every invention that you falsely claim to have invented was all invented by whites or other races, for that matter. Including doorknobs. So, yeah. Well, this is quite disturbing. Sabina Hernandez brought up something here about Columbus, Ohio. It said, check out the International CDL School. This is their recent graduates page with these graduates who have completed their CDL program and are most likely driving semi-trucks on roads. The address linked to the website leads to an international mall on Google Maps. You know what I'm seeing here on these first little rows here? It looks like a bunch of Islamic terrorists with CDLs. Yep, looks like a whole bunch of Islamic terrorists with CDLs, dude. And this is exactly how we're going to have terrorist attacks in this country, dude. So, in fact, I'm going to go up here and talk about that for a minute now. Islam must off. Clearly creating fake schools commit future big rig attacks on U.S. Yeah, I guarantee that's exactly why they're giving these people CDLs is for that exact reason, because they're trying to create, just like they do over in the various UK and stuff like that, is what it is there, where they'll drive like a big old box truck through a fucking Christmas market or something like that. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Here's what it is now. So, and then speaking of Democrat nut jobs who need to be in a fucking nut house, we got good old Tim McBride falsely claiming his name is Sarah. This dude is an actual fucking biological male who is faking to be a woman, who is out of Delaware, has no business being in any position of power ever in this country, and should be in a goddamn nut house, but is claiming that Republicans are weird and bizarre while they are faking to be a woman. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the bitch right behind him, the old silver-haired hoe right here is what it is in the blue. Pretty sure that's that Catherine Clark woman who admitted that the previous shutdowns were to make Americans hurt, and that alone should have seen her booted out of office for life and straight into a fucking prison cell. So, anyway. So, speaking of retarded YNs, like we were talking about a few minutes ago, you got this retarded YN right here who had the audacity to be this fucking stupid, claiming if you're against young people getting food stamps, then you should also be against old people getting Social Security. So I should be against an old person who spent their entire lives working to put into a system to get back out of it, versus some dumb fucking YN cunt who can't be bothered to go work when she's an able-bodied female, and instead she has 18 kids from different baby daddies. Yeah, these things are not the same, you stupid bitch. Get the fuck out of here. And you're should be caught for life, by the way, on that one. These people really are just fucking retarded, man. I swear to God. Like, this is exactly why we really need to have an IQ test for voting rights at this point, man. And if you don't have at least, I would say, a 95 IQ or higher, you should not be allowed to vote in this country ever again. So, but anyway. Oh, and speaking of that piece of shit cheater, Abigail Sprinbringer, she was the stupid cunt that the Democrats took and made some stupid bullshit the other day for the response speech. As Loudoun County Republican Committee said, "What a speech from Abigail the other day. Shocking how on point she is. Great job, Sprinbringer." Yeah, she was talking about affordability and stuff like that while she's literally trying to raise the cost of literally everything in Virginia since she stole office in 2025. So, anyways. Jesus Christ, dude. It don't get much dumber than this right here, man. Underground rapper is seriously suggesting U.S. create a separate state where murder would be legal. Or we could just have a one-time purge and his ass would no longer be alive, is what it is then. That would work too. So. Well, looks like they finally got to Morgan Freeman. He finally went full retard, just like the rest of Hollywood. Morgan Freeman on The View claims Trump is all about making America white again. And what's wrong with that when this was a white Christian nation to begin with, you old fucking racist prick? So, Yeah, I'm just gonna say it like it is, bro. You used to be cool, Freeman. Now you're just a douchebag. So, and then speaking of douchebags and black supremacists, we got good old black supremacist herself, Jasmine Crockett, kicked out a white female reporter from her campaign event, told her bodyguards to get her white ass out of here. How this black supremacist is even any political race at this point is just beyond me, dude. So, just complete insanity is what it is. Speaking of complete insanity, and why Democrats all need to get their asses thrown out of office for life in many cases, you had this fuckstick right here named David LeGrand, who is the current mayor of Grand Rapids, Michigan, demanding we start publicly shaming gun owners, and was quoted as saying, "If you've got a gun, you should be ashamed of yourself," says the guy who literally has armed security in the form of state troopers around him at all times. Go fuck yourself, David, you fucking prick. You were the kind of people who need to get your asses beat in the fucking streets, buddy. For real. Speaking of people that need to catch a beating, you got former soccer player and known stupid dyke Megan Rapinoe declares the USA men's hockey team completely ruined their Olympic win. Fumed over the team's call with President Trump. Yeah, nobody gives a shit what you think, dumb dyke. For real. Like, nobody gives a fuck what you think. You want to be man. You're not a dude. You're never going to be a fucking dude. You're an ugly bitch. Go fuck off, ho. So. Jesus Christ. Speaking of traitors to America, you got this bitch right here. American convert to Islam claims to be engaged to a Ghazian boyfriend they have never met, and she sends him money every month. Now she is trying to bring him and his entire family from Gaza to America. How about no? How about go fuck yourself, ho? Like, the suicidal empathy of these liberal white women is exactly the problem with our society right now, dude. And these are the exact people that never need to have voting rights in this country ever again, dude. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, we need to have a minimum partial repeal of the 19th Amendment, and 26 too, for that matter, of any Democrat voter right now. Because if you're going to vote Democrat in 2026, maybe you don't need to be voting at all ever again, is what it is there, bro. Seriously. And speaking of people that need to just be taken off this earth completely, 12 and 13-year-old charged with a brutal rape of a girl in Miami. And of course, it's 2 YNs. That's per usual. What was it that they said the other day? 13% of the population, 50% of the crime, or was it 690 is what it is now? Where it's black males make up 6% of the population and account for like somewhere between 70 and 90% of all crime in this country. So, yeah. We don't know who the fucking problem is, dude. And this is the problem entirely, is that we're not calling it out by the race that is doing the shit. So, anyway, I'm getting a little tired. I'm just kind of over it, honestly, today. And there's not really much more to talk about than what we've already discussed today. My mouth and jaw is kind of hurting a little bit too right now. So, but needless to say, it really is time to just reopen the asylums, kick these fucking liberal-ass Democrats into it, and do what needs to be done, man. And speaking of kicking people out of office, there needs to be an age limit for holding political office in this country. When you are literally being wheeled around in a fucking wheelchair because your old ass can't fucking walk, maybe you shouldn't be in power anymore, Mitch McConnell. And the fact this bitch-ass motherfucking turtle piece of crap has already admitted he's going to be out of office at the end of the year. Maybe kick him out right now, dude, is what it is. Seriously. Yeah, he was asked today why yesterday, so he was asked yesterday why he was blocking the SAVE Act. And if rumors that his staffers are running his office are true, of course they fucking are, dude. The guy's literally being walked around in a wheelchair, dude. It's just like Dianne Feinstein, like days before her death. They were literally wheeling her into a fucking place, and then it was somebody else who was literally screaming, "Yeah, she votes yes." So, okay, I think we got to finish off with this one for today. Going back to Jacqueline Benson's piece of shit ass. Benson gave us some dressing with her word salad when she was asked if she removed non-citizens from Michigan voter rolls. She knows they're her voter base. Yeah, literally fucking googly eyes. Deer in the headlights. So spot on, bro. These people are all insane, man. They really are. They're insane. They're fucking voter fraud cheaters. They need to be kicked out of fucking office and straight in their prison cells, dude. And speaking of everybody needs to get primaried the fuck out, which is literally the entire Congress and Senate at this point, Senator Tom Tillis snapped at conservatives that were screaming at him for hosting a dog parade and not passing the SAVE Act. What a fucking douchebag, man. Like I'm getting real sick and tired of geriatric fucks falsely claiming to represent me as a 41-year-old man. Like, I seriously want to fight these people in trials by combat for their positions of power is what it is right now. And I guarantee I'm not the only American who would say the exact same thing. So, oh, this is actually one I want to bring up as well before we leave this, because it happens to do with Ohio. The stupid cunt who is the current vice mayor of Cincinnati, who I guarantee committed voter fraud to get to power there is what it is now trying to make $5 million in reparations for a bunch of minorities while Cincinnati is literally drowning in crime. Cincinnati drowning in violent crime, property taxes, school levies, utility hikes, living in a city that never seems to have enough money until suddenly it does. Last week, Vice Mayor Jen Michelle Lemon Kearney introduced a $5 million real property reparations program. Last month, she began reallocating the $5.4 million given for public safety last year to curfew centers. Is she daft or just too inept to look at records showing that no one used these curfew centers last year? $5 million discretionary money. So here's the question. If the money is flexible, why reparations instead of public safety? Funding could replace cruisers, upgrade fire equipment, modernize equipment, strengthen response times, strengthen retentions and recruitment, stabilize very departments holding the city together. Instead, we are pandering and using politics. And while council debates wealth redistribution, officers are stretched thin, fire companies are covering wider districts, dispatchers are buried in nonstop volume. You want to build wealth in neighborhoods, make them safe first. We want to repair harm, prevent the next victim. We want to restore trust, stop reallocating public safety dollars into political experiments while telling residents the city is safe, raise taxes, raise utilities, raise violent crime, raises, then people leave, quiet at first, then in waves. If the money is discretionary, then priorities are deliberate, and when public safety isn't first, that says everything about the city's lack of judgment. Well, what it shows me is exactly people need to get put out of office, what it is, dude, and the fact that you are allowing them to steal office again in 2025 instead of kicking them the fuck out for life. This is the exact problem with our society right now is what it is, dude. So, and again, what does it lead to? You lead to these young black kids, these young black teens and preteens and stuff like that, committing all kinds of violent crimes like these fucking little pieces of shit right here is what it is, dude. 12 and 13 years old are now being charged as adult in what police say was the brutal, half-hour rape of a 12-year-old girl in Miami's Overton neighborhood. They say one of them shoved rocks in the girl's mouth so she couldn't scream. Again, bang, bang, fucking right in the forehead, dude. What is that, 50 cents? And we're done for good? Like, we need to have firing squads again in this country, dude. We need to be putting people up against a fucking wall and ending their lives and being done with it. Enough is enough of this shit, dude. Enough is enough of letting repeat offenders back on the streets. Enough is enough of letting fucking little piece of shit demonic ass wipes like that at 12 and 13 rape a 12-year-old girl and not be put to death for it. So, enough is enough of letting legal aliens commit violent crime after violent crime and not put the fuck down is what it is. So, yeah, the time is now. The time is to get candidates in this current election cycle into the power positions they need to be in, dude, that are actually willing to drop the fucking hammer fist on these criminal ass pieces of shit like this, dude. And put these little fuckers down for good is what it is. So, end of story. That's about it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with a new episode of Slicey Boy Saturday, where we'll discuss a couple different blades. I got 2 different fixed blades I want to talk about, actually, that are both effing glows. One is a N90 steel. The other one is, I believe, the CR or CM 154, I believe is what it is. And then we're also going to talk about a couple different folding knives. I got another DC53 knife as a folder. I also have a couple different DTs and stuff like that. But before we go, I do want to talk about a nice watch I pulled out the other day. This was, I believe this was one of the ones that 704 Gear was talking about. And it's from a company called Snap Hero. So it comes in this nice box. I know I didn't pay the retail they wanted for it, but it was definitely, I think it retails for like over $40 now is what it is. It comes with this cool little thing that you can take out the links with if you need to like drop the length of the watch itself out. For different lengths on here is what it is. And then here's the watch itself. And yeah, this tool right here, you just put it into like one of these little links is what it is. It needed to be shorter, and then you pop out the thing in there is what it is, and make it a little bit shorter if you need to make it a little bit shorter. Thankfully, it's about the same size as my wrist. Like, there's like a little bit of extra there for wiggle room, but not much. But it basically fits my wrist almost perfectly here when it's all snapped together. So it's got a little bit of excess space there that maybe I should take like a link or something out, but I don't really want to do that, obviously. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Has a stopwatch function on it at one point, and then has a bunch of other stuff. I'm not sure exactly how to get this to actually work, because I feel like all 3 of these other little timers on there are supposed to be going at some point, but I'm not sure on that one. But holds true, and it's nice because it also has the date you can put on there as well. So this will probably be my primary like go-to watch for like various functions and stuff like that in the future. Or if I'm at like a family get-together or something like that, I'll probably wear it then. So, but yeah, I can go back on my wrist a little bit further and be pretty nice. So, yeah, can't beat for like, I think this was like 20 or 25 on sale the other day. And now it's back to like 40 something is what it is. But yeah, if you ever catch it on sale like that, the 20, 25 mark, dude, like, it's worth it to pick it up. Because it's definitely seems to be a good watch. And like I said, keeps the time true on that and everything else like that. So just a good overall thing. Because I've had I had a couple other ones. This one has a good clasp on it too, by the way. You have to like pop it on both sides there because I got a different one from a different company that was only like I think 15 or 20 or something. And I don't know what was wrong with the clasp on that one, but it was messed up like real bad. Like it did not want to work properly at all. And every time I clasp it up and put it on my wrist, like as soon as you like moved your wrist at all, it just completely unclasped itself and just kept falling off, honestly. So if I can figure out where I set that one and do what you call it, I might just send that back to Amazon then and get a refund on that, dude, because it is definitely not worth it for what it cost, and then the fact that the glass on it doesn't really want to work at all. So versus this Snap Hero one, this actually does work and it's very nice and it's very good. So anyway, but yeah, on that note though, that's where we're going to be at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I will be back tomorrow, like I said, for Slicey Boy Saturday, where we'll discuss some knives of various steel quality. And other than that, I'm going to try to go update my ID tomorrow if I can. So, and then maybe get some new lottery scratchers if we're out and about. Then that's what it'll be. So, but anyway, other than that, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And I will see you all tomorrow for Slicey Boy Saturday at some point in the later afternoon. Probably around now is my guess. Like around like 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere in there. So, but anyway, if you don't see me post an actual thing for it, then for it to be an actual stream tomorrow, it'll definitely happen on Sunday then. So I'm not making promises 100% that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm assuming it'll happen tomorrow, but if I end up having to go do stuff and go places and do whatnot, I might just be too tired when I'm all said and done. So it might just be a Sunday stream. But either way, we'll have a Slicey Boy episode at some point this weekend, whether it be Saturday, whether it be Sunday. Not 100% sure just yet. I'm going to try to do it tomorrow. If I don't do it tomorrow, it'll be Sunday then. But either way, that's where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. Always be wary of Islam trying to take over America, because they clearly are. And it's time for Republicans and everybody else for that matter and political power to get off their asses and boot these fucking people off our soil for life and have a complete ban on Islam. End of story. Peace out, y'all. Later.